Yo, what is up guys? So we got a bunch of new rulings for Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys like the too long didn't read versions of these. Now a lot of these are for a lot of new cards coming out in the game, as well as some more updates to utilizing new cards with erratas and stuff, but it's an important video for any of you guys that actually play on like Dueling Network or if you play in real life. Important ruling just to know. Alright, so let's go ahead and go over some of these rulings. I'm going to be covering the ones that are more relevant to some of you guys. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to go over the ones where I think are more usable in like an actual game. So the first one is Ghost Ogre in Snow Rab is activating its effect. It's trying to destroy something and of course go to the graveyard. Now what happens if you activate something like Called by the Grave, making it so you would target that Ghost Ogre and banish it? So player A is activating Ghost Ogre, player B is activating Call of the Grave, and it's banishing the monster. It says, and if you do, monsters with the same original name as that banished monster have their effects negated until the end of the next turn. Well, what happens if you actually get back that Ghost Ogre in that combo there? So let's, okay, again, player A is activating Ghost Ogre, player B is activating Called by the Grave, player A is using Back to the Front to get back their Ghost Ogre. What actually happens in that scenario? Well, Ghost Ogre is no longer in the graveyard, so it cannot be banished. Its zone has moved since the activation of Called by the Grave. Therefore, it won't be there, and it will not be getting banished, and therefore its effects will not be negated or be banished. So that's a quick little thing for that. Next up, Tomate, the Steel Battle Lion Dragon. So this one has the effect where it can be special summoned by its own effect if 3 or more cards are in the same column. As a quick effect, you get to special summon this card from your hand. You can only use the effect of it once per turn. So this says if this card is special summoned, destroy all cards in this card's column. Unused zones in this card's column cannot be used. So this card is special summoned by having 3 or more cards in the same column. The question is, what happens if your opponent was to activate something, which would make it so there is no longer 3 cards in the same column? So it could be anything that's attainable. It could be a monster that goes away. It doesn't really matter because it's a quick effect. It will still be special summoned. It will still get its effect off, even if something would to change the number at the time of actually going for this card in the first place. So basically, he will still be good to go for that. It's one of those newer cards with that column mechanic. The next question over here, it's kind of obscure, but it could apply to some other instances in the game. The question was, what happens with Dark Magician Knight and a card that you control that could actually be destroyed, but your opponent can activate it? And I'll get into that in a second. So anyways, Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, we're really here for this effect over here, where your opponent cannot target spell trap cards you control with card effects, also that cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Now the question was, if you had your own card, like say for example Chicken Game, and you were in that space to activate the effect of Chicken Game. Well, keep in mind over here, the Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, has that effect where they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That means you can still destroy a card like Chicken Game. However, if it is your opponent's turn with Chicken Game, like it's your Chicken Game, but it is your opponent's, they cannot actually destroy it, because it would be their destruction, if that makes any sense. Even though it's a card you control. Again, you can destroy your own Chicken Game, but they cannot. And that's how it kind of works. Anyways, next up over here, the Brandish Start Up Engage, or the Strike Blade Maidens. I don't know what they're going to end up calling it in the TCG. But anyways, so the question was, what happens if you don't have another card to draw and you do have 3 or more? So let's read the full effect of the card first. So the full effect says, if you control no monsters in your main monster zones, you get to add 1 Brandish card from your deck to your hand, except for Brandish Start Up Engage. Then if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you can draw 1 card. The question was, what if you don't have the target, like you don't have a Brandish card? If you don't have a Brandish card, you cannot activate the effect. Even if you have 3 or more cards just to get the draw, you cannot do that. However, it does work in reverse, because the other effect to draw a card is actually optional, regardless if you actually have the other card to draw or not. So let's say you only have 1 card left in your deck, alright? You're activating Brandish Startup Engage. As long as that card is a Brandish card, you can still activate its effect of Brandish Startup Engage to search out that other Brandish card. However, As far as that draw card, you can't draw. It is an optional effect anyways, but you can still activate it, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, you would just not get that draw because, well, no cards would exist and that would cause some problems for you. But, yeah, that was a question that was also there. The next one up was Brandish Airspace Area 0, and it has the effect of sending a card to the graveyard, but the question was, can you activate it if the graveyard would be something that would banish and send Macrocosmos? There's a lot of, in fact, the FA cards actually do this as well, where they make everything like Macrocosmos. Anyways, so Brandish Airspace Area 0 says you can target one other card you control, excavate the top 3 cards of your deck. You can add 1 excavated Brandish card to your hand, also shuffle the rest back into the deck. Then, if a Brandish card or cards was excavated, send the target to the graveyard. If this card is sent from the field zone to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon 1 Brandish made monster from your deck. You can only use each effective at once per turn. So the question was, can you still activate it? Because there are a lot of cards where you would actually have to send cards to the graveyard to actually fulfill the requirements for this card. However, if Macrocosmos or the FA card, or there's a lot of other cards that are, again, similar, where instead of the graveyard, any card that's sent to the graveyard is banished instead, you can still activate this. It will just get banished instead if one of them is revealed. So that's how that works. The next question up is Lilith, or actually it's a lot of different cards. It can be used. We're just going to use Lilith as an example because it has that ability to tribute a monster, then gain some effect. It doesn't really matter that it's Lilith. It's really any of the monsters that would have the effect to tribute a card. The question was, what if you use Monster Reborn on your opponent's card that would tribute? For example, like Lilith. Could you then activate the effects of Darkest Diablos, Lord of the Lair? And the answer is yes. So let me go ahead and kind of explain things. Because this card honestly has basically created I'm not even kidding, there are pages and pages of official rulings on Lair of Darkness. This card legitimately destroyed whoever has to do the rulings. Oh my gosh, this card is a nightmare. So to sum it up over here, everything becomes dark, and then once per turn, if you would tribute a monster or monsters to activate a card or effect, you contribute 1 dark monster your opponent controls as if you control it. Then once per turn, during the end phase, you special summon as many shadow tokens, their Fiend, Dark level 3, attack 1000, defense 1000, as possible to the turn player's field in defense position up to the number of monsters that were tributed this turn while this card was face up on the field. So, okay, let's create the scenario now. So Lair of Darkness, you've already got it on board. You're activating Monster Reborn on your opponent's Lilith. And then you're going to activate Lilith's effect to actually tribute it. Now, with Darkest Diablos, which is another card, this card has the ability to make it so it is special summoned. We're going to be going over this part of the effect. If a dark monster you control is tributed, you could special summon this card from the graveyard if it was sent when that monster is tributed or hand, even if not. I know that the wording is weird on it, but anyways, Darkest Diablos cannot actually special summon itself if you're actually tributing your opponent's monster. Remember, it says if a dark monster you control is tributed. Even though Lair of Darkness has this exact wording on it, it says you contribute 1 dark monster your opponent controls as if you controlled it. You cannot actually special summon Darkest Diablos if you are tributing your opponent's monster. I know it says as if you controlled it, and there's a lot of people that will argue with this, but this is how they're officially ruling it. Basically, it's a little bit nerfed for Darkest Diablos. So you cannot actually get out Darkest Diablos if you're tributing your opponent's cards. Now, what happens if you're using Monster Reborn, I'm assuming Mind Control, Brain Control, on your opponent's card, because now you're actually in control of it, even though again, I know it says that as if you controlled it, but if you take your opponent's monster, it's on your side of the field. Let's put it this way. If it's on your side of the field and you are tributing it, you can get out Darkest Diablos. So that's the ruling with that. I don't know. You guys can let me know how you feel about that. Do you guys think that that's kind of weird? That you can't do it when it's your opponent's card, but if you control your opponent's card, you can do it. But even though it says as if you controlled it, it still doesn't work. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like I said, strange rulings. Okay, the next one up is another ruling that has to do, again, with Lair of Darkness. So, it doesn't matter what ritual monster it is, but they use Black Illusion Ritual, so we're going to use this as the example. So, with any ritual spell, obviously you have to tribute monsters from your hand or field to get out that ritual monster. It doesn't matter if it's level 1 or more. It's just, I mean, well, with this, it could be any target then, which is kind of cool. But anyways, so any ritual summon, could you use it with Lair of Darkness? And the answer is actually no. And I was actually surprised with this. I'm like, wait, why? Because it still actually gives you something else that is part of the tribute, which I was really surprised by. Let me actually show you guys this one over here. It says when I activate Black Illusion Ritual, and then they give you all the sources on each one of these, and I'll link it down below if any of you guys want to read. I didn't go over every single one. Some of the cards, like they're so self-explanatory that I just didn't feel like they were necessary in this video. But anyways, it says when you activate Black Illusion Ritual, can you apply the effect of Lair of Darkness to tribute an opponent's face-up dark monster? And it says the effect of Black Illusion Ritual tributes a monster for ritual summon when it resolves. Tributing is not a cost, therefore you cannot apply it. So you can't actually use your opponent's monsters with Black Illusion Ritual, which I was like, oh, okay. But here's the thing, it's still considered a tribute, so you'll still actually get the tokens that normally would come with, of course, Lair of Darkness. So the answer is no, you cannot use the ritual, any ritual monster to tribute your opponent's stuff, even if you have Lair of Darkness, but you'll still get the tokens during the end phase for the Lair of Darkness effect. Alright, the next one up is Destiny Hero Disc Commander. Now, if you guys didn't know, we actually got an errata on this card, so it actually changes the effect where you can only use this effect once per duel, so you basically can't loop it. The question then was, because Destiny Hero Disc Commander's effect is once per duel, and Monster Reborn, let's say, well, Monster Reborn is technically legal right now. But Disc Commander, if I was to use something like Monster Reborn on my opponent's Destiny Hero Commander, now I'm getting the effect of Disc Commander, can my opponent get it? Because it's only a once per duel. The answer to this is that Disc Commander, or any card that's like a once per duel, it applies to both players. So let's say this is my opponent. I don't even play Disc Commander at all. And I was to Monster Reborn and get back their Disc Commander. Could my opponent not use Disc Commander's effect then? The answer is no. He gets one effect, I get one effect. Even if I spell summon my own Disc Commander after I Monster Reborn my opponent's, I still already activated the effect of Disc Commander, so that is it. No more Disc Commander. Basically, yeah, both players get one. They don't have the errata over here on Disc Commander. It's because I don't think we've actually had an English print on Disc Commander. But who knows, maybe it'll come back. I mean, they are giving us a bunch of new like hero support in the new tins, but we don't know what's in there. I'll do a video. A lot of you guys ask, where's your video on the tin? The tin hasn't even been revealed as far as what's in it. It's just that they announced that they are making some tins. But I'll make a video when it's, I think, more worthy of actually having the card inside. But anyways, guys, those are a bunch of rulings on a bunch of the new cards. Let me know, guys, if you disagree on any of the new rulings with these cards, or if you think that they're kind of broken. I feel like Lair of Darkness is just a really complex card. But anyways, those are the new rulings. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully this will help you guys out on Duel Network, or if you're playing in real life. Now you know exactly how things work. Because, dude, if you were able to ritual summon using your opponent's card, I mean, that's a really good effect. Yeah, again, I know it says as if you control it, but that's the way it works, guys. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. And if you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Rulings and other Yu-Gi-Oh! Content.